All right, UFC 303 just got finished. It's in the bag, it's in the books. And once again, Alex Pereira gets the job done, wins via knockout over Jiri Prochazka, an opponent that he knocked out. This time, he did it on short notice. So we're going to talk about that because we are witnessing one of the greatest eras that we've ever seen in combat sports. It is phenomenal what this man is doing. Sensational stuff once again. And of course, as we know, UFC 303 has gone through a lot of changes, okay? Alex Pereira took this fight on short notice. Half of the card took this one on short notice, but that's what you got to love about the UFC. They pulled it out the bag. They pulled it together. Some of them won. Some of them lost. We're going to get into all of it. But we're going to give a special mention to Dan Ige. One of the new fights, the co-main event, Diego Lopes taking on Brian Ortega. Of course, Brian Ortega got sick. Apparently had a fever of 103 degrees. And he had to be scrapped from the fight. In steps Dan Ige on just 4 hours notice. So I had to give a special mention to that man. So let's get started with the main event. Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka. It was finished early in the second round. In fact, it was probably almost finished at the end of the first. And when I said the end of the first, I mean right at the end of the first. It kind of reminded me of my fight against Anderson Silva at the end of round 3. I eat a flying knee, hit the deck, the bell goes, it was over. And I was able to come back. I was able to win round 4. Sadly, Jiri Prochazka couldn't do it. He was fighting a man like Alex Pereira, who's on an absolute roll right now. So at the start of the fight, both men are locked in. They are dialed in. They are staring each other down. They are not moving a muscle. They're not flinching. They're not twitching. They are locked in. They are in the zone. Unbelievable. So the cameras pan away to a whole wide shot of the arena. The commentators do their thing. When they come back, they're still locked in. They're still staring at each other from across the octagon. One of the most intense stare-offs that we've ever seen, right? It's the best I've ever seen. I'll tell you that in my 45 years. Nothing else springs to mind right now. And then when they introduced Jiri he didn't move. He was locked in 100%, like a psycho. He is a psycho, let's be honest. Alex Pereira, when they started introducing him, he started jumping up and down a little bit. And I thought, ooh, is that him cracking? Obviously, I was reading far too much into it because the only thing that got cracked was Jiri's skull. And I say that with maximum respect to Jiri Prochazka. I have nothing but respect. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. I think he's so good for the sport of mixed martial arts. He's absolutely original. He's authentic and he brings it every single time. However, he's met his match in Alex Pereira. Jiri was trying to rush in nice and early. He ate a few shots. He landed 1 or 2 of his own, but nothing that wobbled or troubled Alex Pereira. Not even a little bit. Didn't really have him hurt. Didn't have him wobbled. Managed to force his way into a clinch. Didn't really manage to threaten the takedown. They get into the underhook position. He tried to reap a leg. Pereira was able to disengage, and then right at the end of round 1, boom, clean left hook. Drops him. As he hits the canvas, the round ends. And Jiri's like, come on, fight me on the ground. I thought, oh my God, is it done? Is it over? No, it wasn't. Jiri goes back to his corner and he seemed like he'd recovered. He's speaking to his coach. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I've recovered. And then round 2 starts and 13 seconds into it, left high kick, shin on chin. He found a home on the dome, sits Jiri Prochazka down, but he wasn't out unconscious. He was still kind of with it a little bit. Pereira jumps on him, hammer fist, and just brutal shot, one after the other. Herb Dean steps in, okay? There was no question, no argument. It was a great stoppage. Alex Pereira was on fire. I don't think anybody was beating him tonight. And even when Jiri Prochazka was able to get back to his feet, he was very, very wobbly. He was all over the place. He had to be held up by the referees and stuff like that. They should have sat him down. So, commiserations to Jiri Prochazka. It takes a lot of balls, a lot of courage to do what he did tonight, to step up against somebody like that, one of the most scariest people on the planet. Let's be honest. On short notice, the man has got balls of steel and he has my respect for the rest of time. Alex Pereira, though, what do we do with this guy? Who does he fight next? Because I'm telling you right now, in the light heavyweight division, they have not got an easy task. There's one man, there's a clear-cut contender, Magomed Ankalaev. Of course, he's a great wrestler. And that might be the easy path to victory for somebody like a Magomed Ankalaev. But every fight starts on the feet. And on the feet, Alex Pereira is just absolutely phenomenal. Joe Rogan asked him about going up to heavyweight. He said, if the fans want it, then I will do it. Well, the fans in attendance, I mean, they roared the roof off the building. They want to see it. They would love to see him at heavyweight. And I personally, whether it's Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones, Stipe, whoever it is, and I say, give Alex Pereira the chance to do something that no man alive has ever done before. And that is becoming the first ever 3-weight champion. Wouldn't that just be unbelievable? Anyway, so well done to Alex Pereira. What a guy. From top to bottom, I love everything about him. The way that he carries himself, the way that he fights, the knockout power that he has, the stoicism, but then also the sense of humor that he clearly has as well. This video is brought to you by Premier Fight Picks, which is owned and operated by Bardia Helmet, a top combat sports bettor and analyst with an all-time 70% strike rate, publicly tracked over 6 years. Now, Bardia has been on a roll lately, profiting on the last 3 straight events. If you like to bet on fights and you're looking for help picking winners, then visit PremierFightPicks.com. With Pereira versus Prochazka 2 coming up on a stacked card this weekend, 3 more events scheduled for July, now is the perfect time to sign up. Bardia is offering weekly, monthly, and yearly subscriptions to get you in on the best MMA bets, quick picks, and analysis. There are currently 4 bets posted with some more coming for UFC 303, including an underdog and a prop with a pair of plays on the highly anticipated main event. In addition, there are already 5 future bets posted, including a huge play on next month's UFC 304 between Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. Sign up right now to view all of this content and more. Lastly, give Bardia a follow on Instagram at Premier Fight Picks, on X at PFP Handicapping for access to free bets, analysis, and fight breakdowns. Before that, Diego Lopes took on Dan Ige, right, on 4 hours' notice. Unbelievable. Diego Lopes had a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, didn't he? He was supposed to fight Brian Ortega on 2 weeks' notice. Cuts weight, goes to bed at about 149 pounds. Finds out in the middle of the night that no, this fight is not at 145. It's now at 155 pounds. Agrees to take the fight. Ortega weighs in, both of them do, at 155 pounds. And then, of course, Ortega gets sick. Okay, that's not his fault. I'm seeing a lot of people online saying Brian Ortega needs to get cut from the organization for getting sick. That's insane. Brian Ortega is a tremendous fighter. I like the guy very much. And people get sick. It's an unfortunate fact of life. Everybody watching this right now at some point in their life has got sick. We have no control over it. The UFC doctors checked him out. He had a fever of 103 degrees. So he does not need to get cut. It's an unfortunate situation. But fortunately, they've got a whole roster of fighters and bad motherfuckers like Dan Ige, who lives just around the corner, who's having a nice little massage. I said this on Twitter earlier today. Could you imagine this? You wake up on a Saturday morning, you have your breakfast, you go for a stroll, you think, you know what, I fancy a little massage. You get a little massage, the phone rings. Do you want to come and fight at the T-Mobile Arena on 4 hours' notice in the co-main event of a massive pay-per-view that's going to sell shit tons of views? Yeah, I do. Sign me up. I'll be there in a minute. Let me just grab my gum shield or my mouthpiece, as they say in the United States of America. So he didn't get the job done. Diego Lopes was very, very furious in round 1 and 2, landing beautiful hooks, nice knees in the clinch and stuff like that. All in all, better output. Dan Ige was getting through on a few shots here and there, but Diego Lopes, he was just a better man through 2 rounds. Round 3, though, we saw a very, very different fight. It seemed like Diego Lopes was getting tired. And then on top of that, Ige was landing vicious right hands, hard shots that were really getting the attention of Diego Lopes. In fact, he looked to me like he could have finished him. And he was actually getting quite close to finishing the fight until a massive calf kick kind of changed the trajectory of the fight. Lopes gets the takedown, gets on top. Ige kind of pivots. He's sitting in guard, massive ground and pound. And of course, we see the decision. The final bell rings. Diego Lopes wins it 29-28 correctly. The judges got it right. Now, that's the main event and the co-main event. Let's get to the opening fight of the night. Ian Machado Garry going up against Michael Venom Page. 2 very tall guys, 2 lanky guys, 2 long guys, 2 strikers. The better man on the feet, without a shadow of a doubt, was MVP, right? Ian Machado Garry was a little tentative. He was a little intimidated. If I'm honest, he wasn't as fast, he wasn't as quick, and he definitely got his bell wrong. However, he did manage to catch the kick, force the takedown, take the back, and I'm telling you, Ian Machado Garry almost got the submission in round 1 because it was locked in. The rear naked choke was deep. It was under the chin. And I got to say, congrats to MVP for not quitting, for managing to stay in that fight. Comes back in round 2, starts finding the mark, starts to find his rhythm and his groove. And it looks like it's going to be a bad night for Ian Garry. Landing some big, big shots, but it wasn't enough. He sees round 3, and in round 3, it was kind of Ian Garry was forcing the takedown. He's trying to get a hold of him, doing kind of sloppy takedown attempts, but it's okay. He's not a wrestler, and he's not a jiu-jitsu guy. He drops to his back. He goes for a heel hook. It was kind of a sloppy attempt. MVP escapes. He's sitting in guard for a little while. Ian Garry gets him in a body triangle off his back, which is kind of a silly thing to do. The only reason you do that is if you want that guy to stay on top of you in your guard. Simple as that, because it's a stalling tactic. You cannot submit from there. You cannot sweep from there. You cannot stand up from there. The only thing you can do is hold your opponent on top of you whilst he punches or elbows you. Anyway, they got back to the feet. Ian Garry kind of forced a scramble, takes the back, jumps on, threatens the rear naked choke again. This time, nowhere near as close as round 1, but he won a decision. And round 3 was really, really close. Round 1, Ian Garry definitely took it. Round 2, clearly for Michael Venom Page. Round 3, I could see an argument for both ways. I think Ian Garry dominated some positions for the second half of the round, and I think, well, I know MVP landed more shots and was more threatening in the first half of the round. So as I say, you can make an argument either way. It wasn't a robbery. Well done to Ian Garry. Michael Venom Page is not an easy man to beat, and that opens a lot of doors, of course, now. Still undefeated and nothing but big, big things. And a bitter pill to swallow for Michael Venom Page. Things got quite personal leading up to that. There was a bit of shit talk. It looked like they did squash it a little bit backstage, but it is what it is. That's the fighting business. So anyway, there is the main card for UFC 303, and without a shadow of a doubt, the man that saved the day, the man that stepped up on short notice, and without a shadow of a doubt, one of the biggest stars in all of the UFC right now, Alex Pereira. Take a bow, my friend. Shama. I'll just do that for the sake of it, out of respect. The man's incredible. He really is. Finished him at the end of round 1, put him to bed at the end of round 2. And it kind of reminded me a little bit when Israel Adesanya fought Robert Whittaker. Remember, at the end of round 1, he drops Robert, and then round 2, he gets the job done again. Anyway, whatever, I'm rambling. It's time to go to bed. I'm very, very tired. I'll do a proper review. I'm going to do a live tomorrow as well. So we'll have a bit of feedback. It's been a while since I've done a live, so make sure you tune in. Check that one out, and I will see you later.